안녕하세요 국민 여러분. 저는 이정희입니다. 모든 것은 이 엄마가 잘못했으니 저를 잡아가시고 우리 두 아이들만 살려주세요 여러분. 모두가 다 제 잘못입니다.
The only people who can help us is you. You who are watching this. You are the only people who we can count on, who we can rely on, and who we can trust.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie and today we are back with another mukbang! Woo! This is insane because my entire room is going to smell like ramen for the next I don't know how many days. That's my bed right there. This is our New York City apartment and I don't know why I decided to mukbang in here, but I kind of like it. It's cozy. I have blankets drying in the corner. I'm sorry. And now my blankets smell like ramen. I'm screwed. So today I'm actually trying out the 4 best ramen shops in New York City. I have a list. Organized Stephanie has come to the rescue. Are you freaking kidding me? I even memorized what each ramen looks like. So starting from here, this is Jin ramen. This was $20. I think we have Jin ramen in Atlanta, so I don't know why I got Jin ramen.
Which one?
And then this one right here is the tepen ramen. This was $20. We've got this one, which is the ichiran ramen, which I wanted to go to the actual place because they have these private booths. But this was $22 and it's like 2 slices of meat.
Just from the look, that looks like the least.
Best.
No, the least amount of like stuff.
Yeah, but don't you think that'll be the best? Don't you think it'll be the best?
I don't know.
And like, look at the broth. It's so red. It's so creamy. It's already a fat, like a layer of fat and oil on top. And then this one, the crazy one, this was $38. And it's from Ipudo West Side. Okay, to be fair, I did go a little bit crazy. I got a lot of add-ons on this one. $38. Wow. Ipudo West Side. So with that being said, listen, I just want to say when I jump up and down with excitement about eating ramen, I'll tell you what's bouncing and what's not bouncing. I'm not bouncing, unfortunately. You can blame my amazing genes for that, but you know what is bouncing? I'll show you what's bouncing. I'll show you what's bouncing. I'm just kidding. No, my phone is bouncing. Casetify's bounce case. Their most protective phone case ever. That's what's bouncing. I didn't even order these, but Casetify, I freaking love them. They found out that we were getting married and surprised us with Mr. and Mrs. Mango Butt cases. It's so official, and now we really can't call off the wedding because we have matching phone cases, so it's like really complicated now. And no matter what marriage has in store for us, Casetify has got us covered. We could be fighting, we could be throwing our phones in anger. They really have these cool expanded corners on their bounce cases that allow their phones to simply bounce when you drop them. So you're like, okay, so what does that mean for me? Well, that means that you can drop them up to 21.3 feet in the air. Like, I'm dead serious. Do you know how far that is? I mean, if I was gonna drop it off my balcony, okay, I'm too scared to do that because what if I bonk someone in the head? But I'm gonna drop it on my balcony and just look at how sturdy this case is. And just because it's protective doesn't mean it looks utilitarian. You can choose from over 2,000 prints curated by artists from all around the world. So you can honestly make your phone case feel like a bag, feel like a cute shoe, feel like an accessory to your outfit. I used to be the type of person that was like, ew, I don't want a phone case because my phone is prettier without one. Now, I'm like, give me that phone case. They've worked with over 300 artists from around the world to develop a culturally diverse community that just, their designs are so cool. They come out with new designs all the time. You can even customize your phone case. And with Casetify, you can feel good about your case. Their cases are made with 65% recycled material. And Casetify has a Recasetify program that works hard at recycling your old phone cases. They also have these really cute phone straps, and I feel like I can't live without these. Honestly, just so comfortable. So make sure to check out casetify.com/biz to get 15% off your favorite phone case. That's casetify.com/biz to get 15% off your favorite phone case. Thank you, Casetify, for sponsoring today's video, and let's get into the ramen. I'm excited.
Should we do
nervous.
the same one?
Yes.
Okay.
So let's start with this one. I did add some beef underneath. I'm scared of these ramens. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm allergic to pork and pork fat. I took some medicine before this, so I don't know why I'm risking my life right now for this mukbang.
We have to grade it.
We have to grade it.
Yeah, we have to grade it.
We have to degrade it. You little skink. Okay. How is it? What do you mean? What do you mean? Okay, let me get a beef. Hold on, this beef is too clunky. I'm not gonna be able to taste.
Oh my god. Oh my
wait,
god.
wait, wait. What do you mean? What do you mean?
God.
Oh my god.
I want to give it 10 out of 10. Wow, what is this? Oh my god, this is right exactly what I'm looking for. Oh my gosh.
The noodles are textured.
Remind us, where is this from?
Jin ramen. The noodles are textured. They're almost bouncy because they're so tight.
Mm-hmm.
And It's got a bit of a spice kick, but you still taste the broth.
Yeah.
It's not overly spicy where I'm like, oh, all I taste is spice.
I'm gonna test out the
I'm gonna
pork.
test out the egg. I don't know why my elbow is doing this, but I gotta test out the egg. Okay.
Okay, this noodle I give it a 9 out of 10.
Me too. I already love the egg. Like, look at it compared to the tepen egg. This one's more cooked.
Okay, let's try next one.
Wow, you're moving quick.
Can you help me?
Yeah, I can help you because you need help. This one is just a clonka noodle. You want a clonka noodle?
Yeah, I'll take a clunk. Oh my god.
I just want you to know, if one of these plates falls, we're so screwed. Like, beyond screwed. I just want you to know this. Okay, let's try this one. This one has more toppings already.
Okay. More like texture to the noodle.
More crunch in all the veggies. Okay. I like
There's some
it.
chili on that side. Ooh, gotta mix that.
I feel like I liked the first one more.
Yeah, me too. Okay.
It's
yeah.
good, but
It's the first one for sure.
yeah, I'm just not mind blown with this one. Let me try the egg. Yeah. The egg is good. We have to try this ipudo. No, this is not ipudo. No, it is ipudo.
That's ichiran.
Oh, ichiran, yes. I know it according to my list, okay? Okay, it's steaming hot. The noodles are tight, just like the Jin ramen one.
Very thin.
Yes, very soft looking. The broth looks extra creamy.
I like a bouncy noodle.
You like him bouncy? Like Case to Face bounce case?
Oh man.
No?
I don't know. No. Just tastes like a little salty. Like there's not much more to it.
It's salty and it tastes like sesame oil.
Yeah.
It's very
what?
strong sesame.
Oh man, that's
Wow.
I give that like a 6. 6, 7.5, 9. And then here's the $40 ramen.
This one had so much potential, but it's very salty.
Yeah, it's
Let me help you. Because I'm wearing a white shirt, you know? And you're doing some dangerous activities in front. Oh, my stomach's growling. Is that a good or bad sign? Am I getting f***ed up by the pork tonight or what? I'm so screwed. Oh, man. Let's try this. Oh,
oh my god. What is this spot?
this one is ipudo. This one tastes like hand-pulled noodles.
Insane.
The noodles are pretty doughy. If you don't like doughy noodles, this is not the spot for you, but it's so textured.
The flavor is
Yeah.
so good. Oh my god. Oh my god.
It kind of has like almost a teriyaki flavor. Like a very palatable, dense flavor.
Oh, this is good.
Yeah.
Pork
Wow.
test.
Okay, tofu test.
Okay, it's between these two.
Wow. They just give a whole egg.
Ooh.
Oh, it's jammy. Oh, yeah. For me, the egg is just as important as the ramen.
Oh man. Okay. It's rough.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Wow.
What are we talking about?
Oh, yeah, let me get into it. It gets a little serious, though. So, I'm gonna take an extra bite. I think I like the Jin ramen. I think I like it the most. It just fits my criteria. Oh, magnificent.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
I have such a hard time slurping. I was never a noodle slurper, but it's in my job description now.
Why aren't you good at slurping?
My mom doesn't like it, but now she slurps.
Really?
Now she's let loose. She's like, I'm 60. She always tells me I'm going to die soon anyway.
How did she teach you to eat noodles?
Oh, let me tell you, okay? So we always get a regular size spoon. And then you put your noodles, you grab them like this. Almost like a spaghetti. And then you put it on your spoon. And you go...
Yeah.
Crazy. Who eats ramen like that? Now I can't go back. The slurping is so satisfying. Wow.
Wow.
Incredible. Okay. I'm getting into today's story. Now, today's story is freaking wild. I mean, an absolute journey. And before you're like, wait, Stephanie, I thought you stopped telling stories like this while you're eating. Just wait till the end. Just you wait, because it's freaking bonkers. I mean, at no point did I expect the story to turn out the way that it did. At no point could I see what was coming next. Like, it was just a surprise every single time. So let's get into the Korean internet forum post that made everybody collectively lose their freaking marbles. I mean, even CNN briefly lost their marbles over this post. The title was attention-grabbing, emotionally charged. I mean, I was intrigued by the title. The title is, I Am Such a Dirty Woman.
Like your juiciest confession.
It's posted onto a Korean forum called tepen. It's like Korean Reddit. I think that's the best comparison I can make. People like to share stories about themselves, their lives. It's just a very personal platform. But because it's the internet and there's literally no way to confirm every single story that gets posted, recently there was like a tidal wave of people lying for attention. So normally people don't believe everything at face value on the website. Like they just don't. And if they do, it's mainly for entertainment purposes. It's like Reddit, you know, that's the whole shtick. So people are already on this website viewing everything as like a skeptic of sorts. Keep this in mind. So this is the loosely translated and shortened version of I Am Such a Dirty Woman. And it starts with, hello everyone. I am confessing my life story, and I'm such a dirty woman. I am a mother of 2 teenage sons. I am a woman in my 40s. My sons, as well as myself, were forced to sell our bodies. My husband forced us. The kids started selling their bodies when they were 5 to 6 years old. I know this might sound unbelievable, but I have nowhere else to turn, really. My parents and my husband are members of a sex organization, basically a human trafficking organization. Even before I married my husband, he was a part of this. This organization is huge, powerful. Some of the most powerful businessmen, politicians, they operate within this organization. The occupations of people involved, diverse. They all gather together, do drugs, and have sex in groups. Members are tasked with attracting new members to the group to keep everyone else entertained. And usually it's their own wives, or they'll attract other women or children by simply drugging them with stimulants or with sleeping aids. The organization is an easy way to make money. Forget the victims. Forced sex work has great financial benefits. It's incredibly lucrative. So this woman is, like, she's confessing to some crazy crimes. She says, and it seems like they're all willing to keep this secret from being leaked.
Well, she's a victim, right?
Well, that's where it gets very confusing because she later goes on to say that she did some crazy So, I mean, like, yes, but also it gets really crazy. So she claims that even before she married her husband, he R-worded her. She was 22 years old. Her parents wanted her to marry him for some reason. I mean, what could she even do? They get married and his treatment only got worse. I mean, the way that he treated her, the way that he just didn't respect her at all. She remembers very soon after they got married, he would feed her these sleeping pills, let his friends come into their newlywed home, like, come on, boys, and let them have their way with her. He let his friends R-word her, like almost immediately after they got married. He even told her, the reason I married you is so that I could lend you out to the organization. You know, like, I need to put my wife in there, and I need to make sure that my buddies are good. And to make matters worse, apparently the guy had already done it with her own parents. So I'm gonna call the OP, the original poster, she goes by Mrs. Lee, or like Miss Lee. So we're gonna call her Lee. Lee's parents had already done it with her husband, because they're all part of this crazy organization.
Wait, Lee's parents done it?
Yeah.
Lee's...
Yeah, so imagine she's like, my mom has already slept with my husband. My dad has already slept with my husband. They already slept together because they're part of the same creepy organization, right? And they all did very nasty things with each other, including, just they did each other. Anyway, and then eventually he went after the kids too. So Lee and the husband ended up having 2 sons, and they were forced to partake in the business. And sometimes it took place in the comfort of their own home. They would bring people over or sometimes they would be dragged to other establishments or other people's houses. And this went on for 10 years. She said that they were forced to make money to entertain clients. And the worst part of all of this is that there was no way out for Lee. She said that her husband did everything under her name. All the money was deposited into her bank account under her name that she wasn't even allowed access to. She and her sons were never allowed any money. Like, none. There was no way for them to even hide away money because the husband would watch every single thing that they did. So everything is going under the wife's name. And basically, the husband's telling her, if you want to get the police involved, get them involved because everything's going to trace back to you instead of me. I'm just going to tell them you were the one that did this all. So she said he would use this to control me. He hung this over my head and he threatened to make sure that I went down too if I ever tried telling someone what was going on. But he knew that I would never go to the police regardless. He had other things that he was holding over her head. Other insurance policies. So the husband would film her doing various activities that she never wanted to do. I mean, some of it was her discussing crimes with him, about how they were going to lure more victims into the organization, how they were going to drug more victims into the organization. And then some of the other ones were a bit more visually graphic. There would be videos of group sex that were taken while everybody is doing drugs and then engaging in group festivities. Even videos that her husband made her film were with her and her own children. Like R-rated. Wow. So now we're heading into like incest territory, right? And yeah, she said that there's even videos of her and her husband teaching the children on how to do their jobs. Like, it's really bad. She continued, my sons never lived a proper life. I mean, besides the obvious, because my husband was so controlling, we were never allowed to do anything. The kids were never allowed to do after-school activities. They were never allowed to play at the playground. They were never even allowed to study at Hagwon, which is an after-school tutoring program. They weren't allowed any of that because he was scared that they would turn rebellious or they would tell somebody or even try to run away. The only time he let the children out was when he tried to get something from them. And also, if you're thinking, Stephanie, why are you reading this all so casually? Does this post not affect you? Are you that callous that you don't care about this woman's life experience? Just you freaking wait, okay? Anyway, she said that all of this, the kids weren't allowed to have a life, the sons weren't allowed to do anything, and sometimes when they were allowed outside, it was basically just so that the dad could film videos of them hanging out, playing on the playground, post it to social media, and everyone would be in the comments like, oh my god, you're such a great dad. Yeah, that's what she said. I mean, it was just weird. They were trying to make everyone believe that they were a perfect family when they absolutely were not. Of course, Lee tried to fight her husband. She tried to refuse to let the kids being used, but he would beat her to an inch of her life if she tried to argue. He would even tell her parents, and they would encourage the husband to beat her more. Her own parents, her biological parents, her blood parents. Her parents, not his, hers. They were like, yeah, husband, you should beat her more so that she behaves like a good girl. Basically beat her into submission. Nobody on OP's family, like nobody on Lee's family, took her side. Instead, they all fought for her husband's attention. Literally what? Okay, so apparently Lee's older sister has a crush on the husband, and Lee's mom has a crush on the husband. They all fought over the guy like schoolgirls with crushes. They were envious that Lee was the one that married him. She tried to argue, I don't even want to be married to this guy in the first place. Like, you guys can have him. I want to leave him. I'm miserable. But it didn't matter. Her married older sister was just obsessed with stealing OP's husband. I mean, maybe it didn't even matter who her husband was. It's so strange. So Lee's sister is married, but she likes Lee's husband. And in fact, the sister and the husband acted like they were a married couple. They would constantly ridicule and belittle Lee, calling her names, calling her stupid, making her feel like she was the worst mother and person on the freaking planet. Lee's sister would egg on the husband and he would beat up Lee while her sister watched for like a form of entertainment. It was really evil. Regardless, Lee was completely on her own. I mean, she had nobody to turn to, her parents, nobody. Like, this was her life. They were engaged in the same type of business. What kind of sympathy are her family members going to have for her? Practically every single day, Lee and later her kids were put to work. She remembered a lot of fresh faces, meaning these men would come once or twice and engage in activities and then never come back. Sometimes there would be dozens of people that were regulars that constantly came back to do these disgusting, deplorable things. So the sheer amount of people that she's met and engaged in these illegal activities, it's a lot. She can't even remember them all. All she can remember are the regulars. The worst part, she said, was watching her children suffer. She said, "My children and I were treated worse than a slice of meat. We were all miserable. We had no will to live. I mean, we pretty much gave up our entire lives. Like, what kind of mother sells her children and can't even protect them?" Lee went on to say that she finally divorced her husband. It was actually his idea.
Wait, I'm so sorry. Is this a video?
No. Later videos come out.
Oh, this is just a
It
post?
started with a post and people started questioning her story. So then she put out these videos. And I can show you guys the videos, but it's absolutely bonkers. Like, this whole case is just bonkers. She's explaining that her husband basically gave her an out and said, "You want to get a divorce? I'll give you a divorce, but not in the way that you're thinking." It wasn't like we're cutting ties, we're never going to see each other, let's move on. Her husband had a little plot, a little plan. He's always a planning one, right? So he sat down and he said, "This is what we're going to do. You know all these men who R-worded you for money? I got paid, you didn't, but remember that? We're going to get a divorce and you are going to sue a bunch of these men and they're going to be so scared that their families are in jeopardy, their careers are in jeopardy, their lives are in jeopardy, that they're going to give you a bunch of hush money. And you're going to give that hush money to me. But you can't be still married to me, because if you do that while you're still married to me, then the organization is going to be like, take care of your bitch, you know what I mean?" So she said that was her way out. She got the divorce, she took the kids, and she started running. She started running away, hiding from the husband. She went to the police station and she told them everything from start to finish. She even told them how she helped drug other victims. She assaulted other people. She helped facilitate the sale of her own children. She spied on families that, the organization was trying to scam. Like, she did all of it. And she's not writing this for sympathy. She said she was part of the organization. She deserves the punishment that's coming to her. Even if her husband forced her to do everything, she still did it.
So you're telling me the story is not what it seems?
Yes, but I know what you're thinking. The story is fake, right? She made it up. Everybody's thinking that. Otherwise, why would I be here so nonchalantly talking about it? Her making up the story is not even the crazy part. That's not even the plot twist. It's crazy. I thought that was the plot twist. It's not. So, OP did what she had to do. She did some nasty things in the organization. And finally, she was going to the police station and reporting everything from the very beginning, everything that's happened with her parents, with her husband, with her own children, every single sordid detail. She sat there and she laid her heart out to the police. This was in 2014. And for a while, Lee thought that justice was gonna be served. Her husband would finally get what was coming to him. But he didn't. The police treated Lee and the sons like they were the criminals, like they were the problem. They were damaged goods. They were sinners. They looked at them like they were kind of crazy. They defended the husband instead. And OP said she felt like she was being treated like someone who was mentally unstable, that they were treating her like she was making these things up. That's what they made her feel like. And this is her life we're talking about for the past 20 years. So none of this was working out. And finally, Lee decides, I'm going to go public with everything that's happened. I'm going to go to the press. I'm going to have a press conference. I'm going to tell all these journalists, all these reporters, everything that went down. I'm going to do all these crazy interviews, documentaries, Dateline NBC. Hit me up, bitch. But these interviews never saw the light of day. I mean, she was interviewed by various major TV news networks, and none of it was ever aired. Her husband had blocked it. So Lee realized just how powerful he was in that moment. Even her mom went to the police station and told them that her son-in-law was an absolute angel and that it was Lee that was crazy. She said that Lee was psychotic. And the police believed them over Lee, over the sons. She wrote, "What kind of world is this? What kind of world runs on this kind of nonsense?" She said she wanted to unalive herself in front of the police station to show the world the truth. The truth was the police didn't even try to listen to her or her children. She stated that now she's suing all the men involved. They were all spread out through Korea. There are about 30 of them that were regulars. They were actively being sued. These are the people that were known to be a part of the organization, the ones that bought her services, the ones that bought her son's services. But she said there's more. There's more men that did it once or twice, and she can't remember them, but when she does, she's going to track them down and sue them. She said even with these active lawsuits, the police still treat her like she's the criminal. They look at her like she's the dirty sinner. They won't listen to a single thing that she has to say. They ignore her completely. Instead, they threaten her. They try to convince her that she's crazy by saying that all the other men, the family members, everyone, they all passed lie detector tests. First of all, Lee doesn't even believe that, not even for a second. It doesn't even make sense. So what? Her truth is fake? Prove it. The police couldn't prove that they all passed the lie detector test. But when OP asks for her attorneys to cross-examine these results, the police won't let them. So what does that mean? OP said her life has not gotten better since she ran away from her husband. Her oldest son was hospitalized in a psychiatric hospital. He has PTSD. He's not doing well. And just all of it is so painful. She's writing this post as a cry for help, to reveal the truth about the organization, about what the children all around the world are going through, and because she wants to save her own kids too. She wrote, "I just want to save my 2 boys. I'm sure everyone reading this has children, and I just have no power. I have no money, no abilities, no connections. All I can do are just 2 things. I can just sell my body and I can just die." So she said that there's others in the organization that need saving. Innocent victims who have been tricked into it, who have been forced into being blackmailed. They would be fed sleeping pills, they would be assaulted on video, and those videos would be used to blackmail them so that they keep coming back to be assaulted. Yeah, that's why she's writing this post. The post blew up. Of course it did. Yeah,
these are some serious
allegations. Yeah, and it's salacious, it's thought-provoking, it's anger-provoking, it's conspiracy theory-provoking. It was honestly a touching, emotional piece that makes you want to fight to the death to protect this woman and this family. People were commenting things like, "I couldn't sleep for days after this. I couldn't eat for days after this," which is about to get wild, okay? I mean, it makes total sense. It's only normal to feel that way as a human. But it really just, it didn't really reach the levels that it did until it got deleted. So people start sharing this post in all their group chats, and their friends are like, "Hey, what did you just link me? Because the link says there's an error. There's nothing on the page. The post has been removed."
Oh, then people are like, the husband's art is that powerful.
And collectively, people started losing their Remember how the post mentioned that her husband was able to take down TV networks to drop the interviews that they had with her? Well, I mean, if he can do that, of course he can get these online forums to delete her posts. Oh my god. Oh my god. Other people, and I wonder which part of the wagon you guys are on, other people were a bit more cynical, you know? Are you guys more open to people and their stories on the internet? Or are you like, no, f the internet, I don't believe a single word? Yeah, I don't know which one. I feel like I believe everything on the internet. Yeah, I
Really?
read that. I think so, because there was a TikTok that was like, you know, dogs judge you. And I was like, wow, I believe that. I believe that wholeheartedly. I think my dogs judge me. But then in person, I'm cynical. Yeah, I'm like, what do you mean you're a Girl Scout? I'm not opening my door for you. You're trying to get me to open my door so 50 of you can come in here and guns blazing, hold me at knife point and slaughter my whole family. Is that what you're planning to do? She's like, ma'am, I'm 12. I'm like, get out of here. Anyway, there was some discourse about whether or not this story was even true. Some felt like it was too crazy to be true, and others were like, yeah, crazy happens in this world. Open your eyes, people. Open your eyes. Well, to put a stop to all the rumors and backlash, the mom and 2 sons went to post a YouTube video. Well, rather, they posted multiple YouTube videos. This is their YouTube channel. Their channel is still up.
What?
But they decided to clear the air on a bunch of things. They even showed the police investigation report that showed that the police closed the case.
Wait, they showed their face and everything?
Well, okay, no, the whole time they're wearing sunglasses and a mask and a hat. Yeah, they're completely covered up. You have no idea who they are. And through the YouTube videos, Lee is able to tell more about her life, and she talked about how the organization was run out of a freaking church. A church! Praise the Lord Jesus, church. Her husband's family ran a church, a large church, and they're all part of the organization. That's what she said. And look, it sounds crazy, but later, netizens were able to find out which church she was talking about, dig into them, and that same exact church had allegations that the pastor, the husband's dad, so the father-in-law, seduced church believers and did nasty things with them. He gaslit these female believers into thinking that Jesus Christ himself wanted to watch them do it.
Wait, that's real though.
Yeah.
So the husband's dad did do
Well,
bad stuff.
it did go to court. We'll get there. But the allegations are real. Yeah, this is not something people are making up.
Okay.
The allegations are real. And it's
So there's like truth in her
lies.
lies.
Yes.
Okay.
But that's not even the crazy part. It's also said that the pastor, the husband's dad, was connected to some very powerful right-wing politicians, so it got very political very quickly. Very, very quickly. And once you get politics involved, here come the conspiracies. Here it come. That's like 2 and 2. 2 plus 2 equals 4, but not really because math is a conspiracy. So the netizens did what they would do, which is spread the word about this story. They start carrying over to other platforms, gaming platforms, other forums that talked about movies and shows, and they're just trying to draw attention to the mom and 2 sons case. But every single time that they posted something, their comment was either scrubbed, deleted, or shadow banned.
What?
They start freaking out. It started off as like, oh my god, this is like a crazy story, guys, to wow, I can't believe her post was deleted. We gotta spread the word. To, okay, something fishy is going on. How can they block practically everything that is talking about this case? People start growing more and more suspicious, they wrote. They are telling the truth. I can feel it. I know some people are skeptical, but guys, this is true. Even the Blue House, aka the White House in South Korea, they are against her. Naver, aka Google in South Korea. Naver, the Blue House, they're all helping her husband hide the truth. We have to help them. Naver is deleting all the articles. I think my comment is also going to get deleted. These are psychopaths that worship the demon. I heard the church killed a cat because cats looked evil. We gotta do something. Admins and moderators for these websites tried to argue that they were just deleting comments because it didn't follow community guidelines. But that just enraged netizens even more. They're like, what do you mean it's against community guidelines? People post unrelated, random content all the time. This is very reasonable. We're not even naming names. Netizens believe that all these moderators of these big tech companies were getting paid off by the powerful organization to delete everything. So the case starts picking up steam. It's like the Barbara Streisand effect. You know what I'm talking about? The Streisand effect. Where the less you want someone to look at something, the more people are going to be drawn to it. It's like, don't look at my pimple, guys. Everyone's going to be looking at your pimple for the rest of the 50-minute video. It starts picking up steam. Within a few days, it's trending on one of China's most famous platforms.
China?
Weibo.
It's in China now?
Yeah, and once it's in China, it's everywhere. You know what I mean?
I don't know about that.
Yeah, but you guys have a lot of people, is what I'm saying. So it's like a lot of attention. It's trending. More articles are being upvoted about, one mom and 2 sons. I mean, even CNN wrote an article on their website that was later deleted. But of course, the more the story was being picked up, the more skeptics started crawling out of the woodworks. They're perpetual debunkers. It's like they want to debunk everything. I find it amusing and commendable. It takes passion and grit, I tell you, to be an online skeptic. They were ready for a fight. They geared up. They're going in. They pointed out all the inconsistencies. She said the abuse started when the sons were 6 years old, but then later in another YouTube video, she's like, 10 years ago it started. But then her kid is like 13, so they started R-wording him when he was 3. Like, that doesn't make sense. Other people are like, how do you know? It's totally possible. And they're like, how do you know it's possible? Yeah, it was like a whole thing. It's like kind of crazy. People who supported the family were just saying, you're straw-manning a random statement. Maybe 10 years ago was the beginning of all the R words, not just of the, but like maybe of her. Maybe it wasn't full-blown assault. Harassment is also a thing. Another point of contention was Naver is known to delete comments that are malicious in nature or comments that are unrelated to the article or spreading false news. So maybe it's not a conspiracy. Maybe you're just spreading false news. Maybe it's called terms and conditions. That's what some skeptics said. Others argued, well, why do they keep deleting the articles? Comments are one thing, but why delete the full-on articles? How can we comment about this case if all the articles about it are being wiped from the internet? And the comment thing is such a lie. I mean, how many times have you been on an article and there were comments that had nothing to do with what the article was talking about? Another point of contention. Guys, think about it. People have a conspiracy theory that articles are being deleted and wiped from the internet because powerful politicians are involved. But you think powerful politicians that have this level of money and power would go to great depths, great lengths to assault some random housewife from like a village? It's like, I mean, like, I get it. Sex work is illegal in this country, but like we got a lot of sex workers. We've got some hot, young, fit, attractive sex workers. It just doesn't make any sense for politicians to get into a group where so much potential for blackmail exists. Why would you even join this organization when you could quietly go about, do your business by yourself, get out, and do it with someone who is voluntarily consenting? It just doesn't make sense. Okay, this part was odd because a lot of the people that were pro one mom, two sons, and just in general, were like, the energy is giving, you're not pretty enough to be assaulted. Which is like giant red flag, okay? But that was the biggest point of contention. People argued day and night about, was it worth it to be a powerful person with all this money and power if all you want to do is risk it all to assault a woman in her 40s? People are arguing, yeah, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, think about it. If you were that powerful politician, even the top escorts aren't really that much. Technically, if you were just rich, why wouldn't you just do that? Like, if you're rich enough to buy up these big media outlets and shut them up, like, come on. Soon, this made the case blow up even more. Like, the fact that people were fighting about the fact that this wasn't getting enough media attention gave it so much media attention. It's kind of what's happening to the Ohio train derailment right now. So in the beginning, I agree. There was like not enough attention on the Ohio train derailment. And then now everyone is saying, guys, there's not enough attention on the Ohio train derailment. And I will agree, there's not enough information that's coming out by credible sources that need to be investigating this. You know what I mean? Like the government. I get that. But like people are like, this is not on mainstream media. But it is on mainstream media, so it's like a whole thing, right? It becomes a whole thing. That's what's happening with the one mom, two sons. So, you're gonna die. A particular production crew that ran a show called We Want to Know. This is like Korea's version of Approaching Science. So, we want to know. They want to know current affairs, crimes, events. They want to look into things and they want to know the truth. They want to know. No, we want to know, reached out to the family and requested an investigation and interrogation into the case. The mom said, okay, fine. Yeah, I'll work with you guys. Now, I don't know what she was thinking because the show just doesn't go to the mom and say, tell me your story. Okay, good, finished. That's the end. Thank you for watching our episode. No, they're going to go to all sides of the story. And the first allegation they wanted to tackle was with the church. Because if this is true, the church is the brains of the operation, the heart of the organization. I mean, of this crazy illicit sex work organization. Are you kidding me? So they went to church representatives to see how they responded to the allegations. And they said, okay, well, let's first talk about what Lee said. Lee said that the church was not trustworthy, that the reporter should not trust a single word that comes out of the church because the father-in-law had already actually assaulted like 5 to 6 of the congregation. I mean, there's even news articles about it. Like, it's crazy.
She did an interview?
Yeah.
Like with face or still hiding?
No, still hiding.
Oh, okay.
And the church said, no, we actually went to the Supreme Court because of these charges, and the church and the pastor were found not guilty. So whatever you're saying isn't factual. Now, like, yeah and no. Okay, this is like completely unrelated, but yes and no. Yes, you were found not guilty, but so many times they're not found not guilty. You know what I mean? But anyway, that's another day. Lee, the mom, argued, no, my husband's parents are powerful. They use the power of the church to buy lawyers and media companies. Their pockets are deep. Just to show you how powerful they are, I have been harassed by my husband every single day since we filed for divorce. The church representatives were tired. They said, look, Look, both the mom and the husband were expelled from our church in 2007, many years ago, for causing a scene. We haven't talked to them since. There has been no contact. The husband doesn't even like his own father anymore. The pastor? Yeah, because of disputes over property. We've got nothing to do with this case at all, so why are you guys bringing us into it? So the production crew were like, okay, well, let's go try talking to the husband. I mean, where do you think this guy was? Where? Hiding out in Panama? Getting married in Switzerland? Fleeing to some other discreet country? What were they doing? The guy was delivering pizzas. You're telling me this guy is so rich, so powerful that he can control media outlets, and he's working an irba? You know what an irba is? Like a side gig? Delivering pizza? Just the math wasn't math. Yeah.
So what happened then?
So they sat down with him.
Is he showing face?
I don't think so. They sat down with him and he said, I did enjoy a luxurious life at one point, thanks to the big church that my father ran, but I was expelled from it 8 years ago. My father and I got into some fight over property issues, but I really loved my family. That's what I have to say. It was a good family, and my wife suddenly insisted on a divorce without a single explanation. I mean, it was confusing. The husband admits that he had hit his wife and kids before. He had assaulted them, but never sexually. He thinks that all these allegations are insanity. He has no idea where they're even coming from. Not a spectacular excuse. You're like, I did assault them, just not in the way that you think. Just only in like half the way that you think. It's just not a great excuse. The reporters asked, well, if you didn't do what she claimed, why would you guys get a divorce? Like, why did she divorce you? He's like, yeah, well, I did hit her, okay? I got into a physical fight with her, and I hit her. And I hit my son once, my oldest son. But I'm telling you, during the 1.5-year lawsuit during our divorce, my wife never, ever, ever mentioned any sort of sexual abuse until out of the freaking blue. She starts claiming sexual assault. I was searched. I was taken in by the police. They thought that I had done it too. So then the police were interviewed by the production team, and they said, I mean, yeah, we brought the guy in. We even brought in all the electronics because, remember, she claimed that there were videos and all of that. But, nothing. All we had were pictures and videos of his kids. Not like that, like a normal family pictures, normal family videos. We investigated the family for 4 months, but there was no evidence of any wrongdoing, any drug use, any sexual activity, nothing. So we ruled the case no charges, closed. Opie and the sons were presented with this evidence, and they were mad. Okay, the second son said, it's all lies. The videos dad has, I mean, they're all to confuse investigators. You don't think that he would plan something like that?
Okay, so both sons are also saying that.
Yeah, and the reporters on the show were now even more confused. But they wanted to hear Mrs. Lee's story and the kids' story. You know, she said a lot of the assaults took place in a village that nobody would go to otherwise. Okay, very nice. She called it a village, and all the villagers were part of the criminal activity. Everyone except the bedridden elderly, of course. Intrigued by this comment, the production team went to the village with the mom and the youngest son because the eldest son was in a psychiatric hospital for his trauma at this point.
What?
And the village just gets very bizarre. The mom went around pointing at random villagers as if they're tourist attractions, going, that's a criminal. Yikes.
What is the villager doing?
Some of them are just like, what the f-? And then one of them is like, what's wrong with this lady? I'm calling the cops. And the mom screamed, the cops are all a part of it. So the cops come, and the whole thing is just escalating and escalating. And then the second son was seen going to the corner, making a phone call. And he comes back and he says, I just talked to my brother, and he said that we need to de-escalate the situation. And we're just going to handle this the legal way by filing a lawsuit later.
The younger son said that to who?
To the producers, the cops, everybody.
How old is the younger son?
Like 13?
And the older son?
Maybe like 16. So the reporters are puzzled. I mean, like, what a weird reaction. What is this kid saying? But also, your brother is in a psychiatric hospital. Most of them don't have access to phones. Like the psychiatric hospitals in Korea, they don't play. You don't get a phone. You have a communal phone that you maybe can request to use to call verified people on this line. You don't get to just receive phone calls on your phone. And then the kicker, the evidence to end all evidence. This is no longer in the village, but back in the city. They gather the whole family, so the mom and the two sons. They're sitting there, and they were mic'd up, the cameras are rolling, and the production team are like, wait, we gotta go use the restroom, right? So they leave.
Oh no, the mic is on?
The mic is on.
No.
You know the mic stays on. I was
Oh
only
my
on,
God.
and this is not me trying to flex because it was literally my 2 seconds of fame, and I'm never gonna forget it. I peaked like years ago. I peaked. I was on like a Disney production for like literally 0.2 seconds, and I remember they mic'd me up, and I had to pee immediately afterwards. And I was like, "Can you hear me?" And I knew he could hear me. Because sometimes, and then I was at a market and I was like, "Can you hear me?" And I would look at the sound guy who's in the corner. He's got like this headphone and like these crazy mics around him. And he looks at me and he goes, I'm like, okay. And then at one point I had to be like, "I'm about to burp." So like, you stay mic'd up. You do, these sound guys don't play, okay? And they didn't know that. they didn't know that. They were talking to each other. And they whispered, "What if they notice we're lying?" They literally said that.
Who said who?
The kids and the mom.
Oh my god.
And then they go, "Was I too obvious?"
They just see me doing this. Sit up.
No! Why? And they say the dumbest thing?
The dumbest thing.
What if they notice?
What if they notice that we're lying? Like, why can't you just be like, "Are we doing okay?"
Yeah.
Or like, "How do you feel?" Like, what if they know that I just farted and lied about everything? Like, why would you say that? Why would you say that? Okay, it's very weird, and they're also giggling, and it was just bizarre. The reporters start digging into other parts of Mrs. Lee's life because they're like, this lady is obviously unhinged because clearly she's lying about it. She got her kids to lie. Why? Why is she lying? That's the newest story. You know, it's no longer about what, you know, she's lying or not. She's lying. So why? They talked to close sources of Mrs. Lee. They found out that she had a great aunt. That's what she called it, like a como, an emo. I don't know if it was a como or an emo. The aunt was a shaman. I told you the shamans would come back. They would, okay? Shamans, they're back at it again. Her aunt is a shaman, and she does whatever the shaman wants. The shaman wanted the couple to get a divorce because it would be easier to control Lee in that way. And the divorce would be an easy way for Lee to come into a bunch of cash. The husband's family had money, so she encouraged Lee to divorce her own husband and sue him for the tune of $4 million.
Wow.
And the shaman knew once she got that cash, it was going to be so easy to directly funnel it from Lee to the shaman.
Are you kidding me?
And I know what you're thinking. Like, what kind of person breaks up their nuclear family with a whole ass nuke because some random ajumma claims to be a spiritual person told her to do it? Are we just lacking critical thinking skills? Do we just have the common sense of a grapefruit? I don't even think that I would exhibit this type of behavior immediately after a lobotomy. Lee's older sister said that it didn't just happen out of nowhere, though. Like, it wasn't just like, "Hey, I'm a shaman, nice to meet you. You need to divorce your husband. He's a scrub." No. It started years ago.
This is Lee's sister.
Yeah.
No, who knows Lee is kind of
Unhinged.
okay.
She said years ago, she met a shaman. And it's just not something the family does, you know? And the family didn't understand why or what or like, what? Like, what are you doing? All they knew was that Lee was slowly becoming a completely different person. Lee even tried to steal from family members after meeting with this shaman, and it just wasn't great. Lee's family feels guilty for not being able to separate Lee from the shaman, but like, what can they do? She refused to listen. Even the husband was asked about the shaman, and he said, "Oh my god, the freaking shaman. This shaman was f***ing with our marriage since day one. One day, I came home, and my wife was accusing me of feeding her sleeping pills. With no evidence. I don't even have sleeping pills, so I'm like, why would I feed you sleeping pills? You're kind of crazy." And she was like, "No, I know you're feeding me sleeping pills." With what evidence? Vibes. Vibes, okay? Vibes is the evidence. The husband was so confused, but then she amped it up. She's like, "I know you're drugging me with sleeping pills so that you can sneak out at night and go fork some hoes." The husband was like, "What are you saying, lady?" The husband believed it was the shaman planting these beliefs in his ex-wife. A lot of people who knew Lee said that they also believed that. Lee also believed it though. So that's the crazy thing. People were saying that Lee was not just doing these things to get money for the shaman. She wasn't doing these things to get money in general. She genuinely was believing that this happened to her. She was doing really bizarre things. I mean, even Lee's own family didn't believe that she was being assaulted by her husband. They believed that she was a victim of the shaman. So there's just like a train of victims. To further bolster this theory, Lee and the kids talked about how the shaman didn't do anything wrong, how the husband was just an evil schemer. They claimed that the husband tried to kill the shaman. He shot the shaman with an iron bullet that was loaded into a BB gun while wearing night vision goggles.
Okay.
Like, if it's too silly to be in a James Bond movie, I think it's too silly for real life, right? But that's just, and I'm not saying that to be like, I would never believe it if my shaman told me that. I'm not saying that to be like, oh, she's so dumb. No, I'm saying that to show you how in-depth and how intense this manipulation was at this point. They genuinely believed it. The kids believed it as well. In addition, nobody ever saw videos that were used as blackmail. So why were they so passionate that these videos existed? Like, how could the mom wholeheartedly say, I know these videos existed and that's why I couldn't leave, when she had never seen them? It felt like someone had convinced her that they existed. And it was clear that the mom and the kids felt genuine fear for their lives. After the divorce, they kept moving around as if someone was chasing them.
Then why did they say that? Oh, can they tell we're lying? So they know they're lying.
So they're lying about certain aspects, but not exactly the assaults. So they lied about the village, and they lied about certain aspects, but not most of it.
Okay.
I know, it gets really complicated because we still don't really know. Like, we could say, this is like the general public opinion, is that they believed, that at least the sons kind of believed to a degree. I don't know how much the mom believed. So it gets really complicated. I guess we'll never know because we can't pick their brains, right? But they did move around a lot. And it was not a good situation where they were like, ooh, let's go from like a hotel to hotel. Like, their lives were really pretty shitty. It seemed like they were in genuine fear for their lives. Add to that, they found a journal in Lee's house that had a detailed step-by-step on what to say and how to say it to the police in regards to the whole situation. So it was really bad. It was looking really bad. A psychologist who was very alarmed by the son's behaviors. A psychologist interviewed the family, and they said that the sons were exhibiting behavior that they felt that reality was a game. That's really concerning when you are that detached from reality at this age. And that is, on the fault of the mom and the guardians. The psychologist requested that there be an emergency committee to decide whether or not the children should be separated from Lee. And when Lee found out that was happening, she had a full-blown meltdown. She was hospitalized. She kept requesting to call her shaman, and the reporters kept trying to get her to see the truth. Like, they had a list of allegations and suspicious things about the shaman, and Lee was so mad she tore up the piece of paper. And while Lee was hospitalized, the reporters end up getting a phone call. Hello? Hi, this is, I'm the former housemaid to the shaman. I was a victim of hers, too. What do you mean? When I met her, I was a housewife, I was successful, and she convinced me to get a divorce, sell all my property, and give her all my belongings. And I did. I was so broke, I started working in her house as a housemaid. She ruined me. She took me for everything I had. She is a fraud. Everything was escalating, and it seemed like more and more eyes were pointed at the shaman, who decided it was time to clear her name. She agreed to be on the show as long as her face was blurred and her voice was distorted, so like nobody's identities are ever released ever. This is like South Korea. They're crazy about their identities, which I think is cool, but sometimes not cool because they'll do it with killers. They agreed, and during the interview, the shaman did the opposite of what she should have done. Oh, also, they don't blur the killer's faces because the killer wants notoriety. It's not a situation like that where they're like, we're trying to not get them notoriety, which is why they did the crime. South Korea does it because they want these killers to be able to have a life afterwards if they ever get out. And there's rules. I mean, sometimes the killers are released. It's like a whole system. But anyway, my rant. The shaman did the interview, and she did the opposite of what she should have been doing. She was cutting off Lee during every single sentence. I mean, the girl couldn't even get a full independent clause out there before she was interrupted. And it's interesting to note that while Lee's whole life was falling apart, the shaman was living a life of luxury. Lee even begged the reporters after the interview, please don't let anything get in the way of the shaman. I'm telling you, this is all my fault, truly. She didn't know anything. She's innocent. It's all me.
What?
So eventually, when all the lies were revealed, Lee's older sister sued her for child abuse of her 2 sons, and her family has decided to take care of the children until the legalities are sorted out. The children are even terrified of them. They have to keep showing them pictures of when they were younger. All of them just, it's really just hard. The husband wants to see his kids again, but the kids are way too traumatized and brainwashed. They genuinely are scared of their father. Which, I mean, I do think that they have reason to be. I do think that it would have been harder to brainwash the family if the husband had not been physically abusive. So, I mean, who knows how long it'll take before they're ready to see their dad, if that time will even ever come. Eventually, Lee was indicted on charges of child abuse. It was revealed that the shaman told her to file for divorce, claim abuse, and you remember those 44, random people that she's suing? None of them even knew Lee, but they all had one connection. They all knew the shaman, and they had beef with the shaman.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This is insane.
Yeah. And unfortunately, this happens a lot more than you would think. So in 2012, there was a case of a shaman who ordered his believer to kill his 2 kids and give the shaman $160,000. So you're like, why did the shaman do this? For money? Why did you need to kill the kids to get this money? No. The shaman and the believer's kid went to the same school, and the believer's kid got a higher test grade than the shaman's kid. So the shaman was like, kill your kids. And they did it. And, I mean, it's crazy. Which, side note, if you guys watched my previous mukbang on the First Lady of South Korea, you guys know that I'm not shamanism. I had a whole rant about shamanism. I don't think shamanism is bad. I don't think any religion, any belief is inherently bad. I just think people are bad. And sometimes these people find their ways into these positions of power in these said religions. That's what it is. I literally don't judge people for what they believe. It doesn't even matter. But these shamans are wild, just like how sometimes pastors are wild and atheists are wild. They're just wild people. So anyway, what about the police cover-up? The police didn't investigate, not because the family was so powerful, but because it just wasn't true. And Lee was constantly contradicting her story nonstop from the beginning. And when the truth came out, suddenly the tides turned. I think this is fascinating, but everyone online suddenly went from 50-50, we don't know, to I knew it from the get-go. And everyone was like, wait a minute, the math's not mathing. If everyone knew it from the get-go, where were the people that believed in her? But I do feel bad for the people that believed in her. I went to the YouTube video, and one of the comments was like, I lost sleep over this years ago. This is crazy that this was a scam. Anyway, this whole thing is so bizarre. And it's
So the shaman didn't get charged at all?
So the mom and the 2 sons were considered perpetrators, but also victims at the same time. But the 2 sons, I mean, they were the ultimate victims. They're minors. I can't even imagine the mental trauma that's just been dumped on them. I mean, even the production team of that show said it was so sad because you could tell that the sons genuinely love their mom. And it just makes it more heartbreaking. But most people are on the viewpoint of, yeah, the mom is a victim, but when you're a parent, you don't have the luxury anymore of just being the only victim. Most of the public feel like whether or not the mom was manipulated or not, she abused her sons. She let them believe these things, she hurt them, and that is abuse. The courts agreed. They sentenced her to 2 years for her crimes, and the shaman was sentenced to 9 years in prison. It's an absolute show, this one. Wow. From the get-go, I'm like, okay, this case is famous for a reason. I think that they're faking it because the whole thing is sketch. The YouTube videos, it was just really weird, right? And turns out they were faking it. I was not expecting that shamanism was involved.
Yeah, there's always someone behind it.
Yeah, I thought, okay, maybe it's the psychology of someone just really wants attention. I thought maybe they were doing a GoFundMe situation. Genuinely, that was my first thing. They're trying to scam for money. Help me with my legal fees. And then scam people. What are your thoughts on this one? What are your thoughts? Did you make it this far? I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I like to say Jin Ramen was the winner on this one. You like ipudo?
Yeah.
I like Jin Ramen. He likes ipudo. This one is a little strong, a bold flavor. That's a good word. Bold flavor. This one, if you like a chewy noodle, you're not a noodle girl. This one's kind of like a hand-pulled noodle, so it's thicker, it's doughier. I like these chewy little, tangy little noodles. Make sure to check out Casetify, linked in the description, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye!